The trade station Jacor Prime hung in orbit like a jewel of metal and glass, reflecting the cold light of 3 distant stars. Its corridors were bustling with representatives from countless species, all meeting under the banner of the Galactic Union. Each race came with pride, some with arrogance, most with wariness, but none expected the human who walked among them. Captain Derek Holt moved slowly, his gray hair combed neatly and his posture firm despite the stiffness of age. Every eye in the chamber followed him, scaled, feathered, metallic, and many forms Derek could not name. At first glance, he seemed frail, almost invisible compared to the towering alien ambassadors who surrounded him. Yet the calm in his eyes carried a weight that made more than one warrior shift uneasily. The largest among them, Commander Krelva, was a massive reptilian with thick, armored scales, sharp claws, and eyes that glimmered like molten metal. He laughed, a low rumbling sound that echoed through the hall. "Look at this," Krelva said to the assembly, his tongue flicking over his teeth. "The so-called mighty human ambassador. Does he even know what war is?" A chorus of laughter followed. Others pointed at Derek's thin frame, his slow movements, and the simple human uniform that looked fragile compared to the ceremonial armor of the alien races. Even the telepathic avian, Ambassador Sienta, chirped softly, sending mental waves of amusement that touched the minds of the weaker races. Derek said nothing. He let them laugh, observing carefully, taking in every detail, the posture of each species, the tension in their muscles, the pride in their eyes, the arrogance in their voices. He had seen this before countless times on countless planets against countless enemies. The mockery of youth and strength was a universal mistake. Krelva leaned forward, towering over the human. "Do you know why we dominate?" he asked, his voice sharp, echoing through the hall. "Because we are predators. We are built to hunt, to kill, to conquer. You humans, your species is weak, fragile, and short-lived. You cannot even survive a decade in our jungles without dying." The laughter swelled again. Derek's thin lips pressed into a straight line. He had lived a long life, fought many battles, and seen his fair share of tragedy. But he had also seen humans endure what no other species could. Humans did not dominate because they were the strongest. They survived because they learned, adapted, and refused to surrender. Finally, he spoke. His voice was quiet but carried through the hall, silencing laughter and drawing attention. "You speak of hunting as if it is the only measure of strength," he said. "You measure life by teeth and claws, but humans measure it by the ability to endure. You call us weak, but it is in our endurance that we find power you cannot imagine." The aliens tilted their heads, some confused, some mocking. "Endurance?" Krelva's voice was sharp with disbelief. "You speak of endurance while your cities burn, while your species dies in plague and famine. You cannot even survive without tools, without cooperation. Endurance alone does not make you strong." Derek nodded slowly. "You are right. Endurance alone does not, but endurance combined with curiosity, with imagination, with the will to rise when all seems lost, that is where humanity finds its strength. I have seen my species survive ice ages, volcanic eruptions, oceans swallowing continents, and yet we endure. We learn, we adapt, and then we fight back in ways that surprise even us." The room erupted again, not with laughter this time, but with murmurs of disbelief. Krelva's claws scraped the metal floor, a gesture of impatience. "Prove it," he demanded. "Tell us a story, old human. Show us that your endurance matters more than my claws." Derek's eyes gleamed. He walked slowly toward the central display, his cane tapping lightly on the floor. With a swipe of his hand, holographic images filled the chamber. First came images of frozen wastelands, humans trudging through snowstorms, building shelters, and inventing machines to survive. Then came vast deserts where humans learned to find water where none existed. He showed forests that had burned to ash, yet humans planted new trees and rebuilt homes from the rubble. The aliens watched in stunned silence. Even Sienta's telepathic amusement faltered as images of human ingenuity and persistence flashed before them. "Observe," Derek said, his voice calm but firm. "Observe what it means to survive when the odds are against you. We do not have natural armor or claws or fangs. We do not grow stronger with age. But we invent, we plan, we fight smarter than our enemies, not stronger." The displays shifted to the stars, humans building ships, exploring unknown systems, colonizing planets that should have been uninhabitable. "We are fragile," Derek continued. "Yes, we are prey in the eyes of some, But what you do not see is that we are relentless. We face extinction and we adapt. You may be predators, but we are survivors who learn how to hunt back. A heavy silence filled the chamber. Krelva's laughter died in his throat, replaced by a glare that held both anger and uncertainty. No predator liked to be reminded that its prey might fight back, and worse, that it could outsmart the predator. Then, alarms blared. Red lights flashed across the chamber. Outside the station, distant ships appeared, moving fast toward the station. Pirates. Not just ordinary pirates, but a fleet known for ruthless attacks across the sector. Even the most confident warriors froze. Krelva barked orders, his voice tense. "Prepare defenses. The pirates dare to strike in my territory?" Derek watched quietly as panic spread. The seasoned alien warriors, so sure of their strength, suddenly looked vulnerable. Chaos began to rule the chamber as officers argued, debated, and tried to figure out who commanded. Derek's calm eyes moved from one face to another. He knew exactly what to do. Without a word, he tapped into the station systems. Maintenance drones moved to strategic positions. Gravity fields shifted and emergency shields activated in precise patterns. He spoke only once, his voice cutting clearly through the panic. "Follow my lead. This is the human way." Some hesitated, but the aliens had no choice. Derek's strategy was unlike anything they had seen. He organized small, flexible teams instead of rigid command lines. He used the station itself as a weapon, turning its corridors, vents, and maintenance bots into traps. Every move was calculated, precise, and unexpected. The pirate fleet arrived, expecting an easy conquest. They were met with resistance that did not resemble a battle. They were met with cunning, strategy, and relentless ingenuity. Derek's human crews moved like shadows, striking where the enemy least expected. The pirates were forced into traps that seemed impossible, captured by technology that was simple in design, but deadly in effect. Krelva watched in disbelief. The human ambassador, so weak in appearance, had orchestrated the defense with precision that rivaled any seasoned general in the Union. "How?" he muttered under his breath. He had underestimated the human species, assuming that strength alone dictated the outcome of conflict. Derek walked calmly through the chaos, observing every detail. He gave no orders to boast, no words to intimidate, only quiet, confident guidance. Every step of the human plan played out perfectly. When the pirates were finally forced to retreat, their ships crippled and their ranks shattered, Derek turned to the stunned assembly. "That," he said simply, "is what humans do. We may look weak. We may look frail. But we do not survive because we are strong. We survive because we think, we adapt, and when the moment comes, we strike. You may be predators, but we are not prey. We are something else. We are the hunters you cannot predict." The room fell silent. Even Krelva, proud predator of countless worlds, bowed his head slightly, a gesture of respect he had never shown before. Sienta's mental laughter was gone, replaced by a sense of awe she had never felt before. The legend of the old human who faced mockery and turned it into fear began to take root in the minds of every alien present. Derek Holt, a man whose years should have made him slow and weak, had reminded the galaxy of the most dangerous truth: humans do not surrender. The battle for the station was over, but the real victory had just begun. The aliens would speak of this day for centuries, not because humans had the strongest weapons or the sharpest claws, but because they had a mind that could turn weakness into power. They had learned that age, experience, and the human spirit were forces no predator could fully measure or defeat. Derek smiled faintly as he walked back to his seat. He did not boast. He did not gloat. He had simply reminded the galaxy of a truth they had forgotten. Humans may appear fragile, but inside them burned a fire that could not be extinguished. And that fire was just beginning to be noticed. The pirates had not expected resistance. They had counted on fear, chaos, and the assumed weakness of humans. But what they found instead was precision, strategy, and relentless determination. Ships that should have been easy targets were crippled before they could strike. Systems that were assumed invulnerable were disabled with careful timing. The pirates' confidence crumbled as Derek Holt's calm voice guided every move. Inside the command center of HFY Prime, Derek moved from station to station, observing the battle unfold on the holographic displays. He had grown old, his hands were worn and his joints ached, but his mind was sharper than ever. Every decision was deliberate, every command measured. The alien officers who had mocked him just moments ago were now watching with awe. Even Krelva, the massive predator commander, could not hide his astonishment as his species scrambled to follow the humans' lead. "Focus on their formation," Derek said, pointing to the hologram. "They will try to surround us here and here. Block the corridors, force them into the vent system. Use the drones to cut off their reinforcements. Timing is everything." The alien commanders hesitated, unused to such unconventional tactics. But the humans in the room had learned to fight differently. They moved quickly, communicating silently, adjusting the station's systems in real time. The gravity fields, initially intended for maintenance, became deadly traps for the invading fleet. Every vent, every corridor, every piece of machinery was a weapon in human hands. Outside, the pirates found themselves trapped. Their ships moved as if through a labyrinth, blocked by sudden barriers, swept by unexpected energy pulses, and herded into kill zones they could not anticipate. The human strategy was not brute force, it was clever, adaptive, and unpredictable. For the first time in their careers, the pirate commanders realized that the prey they had come to attack was not only aware of them, but thinking several steps ahead. Krelva's claws scraped the floor as he growled, frustration evident in his every movement. "How can this be?" he muttered. "They are weak. They cannot have this control." Derek smiled faintly. "Weakness is only a measure of expectation," he said. "We survive by being better than expected, by seeing possibilities others cannot. That is the difference between predators and humans." The pirates struggled to regroup. They sent in boarding teams, assuming they could overpower any human crew. But Derek had anticipated this. Teams of human defenders struck from hidden positions, using quick maneuvers and makeshift weapons. They did not fight with raw strength. They fought with cunning, strategy, and timing. Each move forced the pirates back, exhausting them, breaking their coordination and turning their aggression against them. Krelva's soldiers faltered as well. Many had never seen humans move with such precision, adapting to every change, exploiting every mistake. The massive predator leader barked orders, but the humans' unpredictability made it nearly impossible to coordinate a defense. Even the most disciplined alien units were thrown into confusion by the human approach. Derek walked calmly along the control decks, observing the chaos and guiding his crew with quiet confidence. He did not shout. He did not panic. Every word he spoke was clear, concise, and filled with authority. The humans around him trusted him completely, following his guidance without hesitation. Their faith in strategy, preparation, and quick thinking made them stronger than the predator's raw power. The battle raged for hours. Outside, the stars were filled with flashes of light as ships clashed. Hulls exploded and energy pulses sliced through the void. Inside the station, every corridor and control room was alive with activity, the hum of machinery and the commands of humans blending into a symphony of organized chaos. Finally, the tide turned. The pirates were trapped, their numbers decimated and their remaining ships fleeing. The humans and their allied alien officers stood victorious, not through brute strength, but through superior tactics, foresight, and the courage to act when others hesitated. Krelva's chest rose and fell rapidly as he stared at Derek. You turned the impossible into victory," he said, his voice a mixture of awe and disbelief. "You should have been an easy target. We underestimated you." Derek shook his head, his gray hair catching the light. "You did not underestimate us because we are weak," he said. "You underestimated us because you measure strength only by power you can see. But strength is also patience, foresight, and the will to act when others falter. Humans endure, adapt, and then strike. That is why we survive." The other aliens who had come to scoff at the humans now watched with respect. Sienta, the avian telepath, sent a wave of astonishment across the room. She had always thought humans amusing, emotional, and unpredictable, but now she realized that unpredictability was their strength. Their emotions, their curiosity, and their willingness to take risks made them a force unlike any other. Even Krelva, proud predator of countless worlds, bowed slightly, an unspoken gesture of respect. The humans had not only defended the station, they had rewritten the expectations of the galaxy. They had shown that strength was not only measured in claws, fangs, or armor, but in courage, intelligence, and the refusal to surrender. Derek looked at the damage outside the station. He saw the twisted hulls of pirate ships, the debris scattered across space, and the shocked faces of alien commanders. He did not feel pride. He felt satisfaction. Humanity had survived another challenge, not because of superiority in battle, but because they had refused to be defeated. "Prepare for the next wave," he said quietly, though no one expected it. The galaxy was vast, full of threats, and the humans had learned that survival required constant vigilance. Every encounter was a lesson, every challenge an opportunity to adapt. The aliens, now silent and thoughtful, began to understand. Humans did not dominate through force alone. They dominated because they were unpredictable, adaptable, and relentless. They could survive disasters, diseases, wars, and still rise again. They could face predators without fear and turn weakness into a weapon. Krelva studied Derek closely. The old human had no weapons of mass destruction at hand. He had no army of monsters or mechanical giants. Yet he had defeated what should have been an unstoppable pirate fleet. How can such a fragile creature command such power? Krelva asked himself aloud. Derek's eyes met his. "Fragility is only what you choose to see," he said. "Power is not always in what is visible. Look deeper and you will find it." The station settled into a quiet rhythm after the battle. Repairs began, crews moved efficiently, and the humans worked alongside aliens who had once mocked them. There was no celebration in Derek's eyes, only focus. The galaxy was changing, and humanity would continue to shape it, not through domination but through survival, intelligence, and unyielding spirit. Sienta approached Derek, her feathers ruffled from the mental strain of the battle. "You are old," she said, her voice tinged with wonder, "and yet your mind is sharper than any predator I have encountered. How do you do it?" Derek smiled faintly. "Experience teaches patience," he said. "Observation teaches opportunity. And most importantly, every failure teaches you how to succeed next time. Humans survive because we never stop learning, never stop adapting, and never stop believing that we can endure." The other aliens listened silently, absorbing the lesson. They had come to ridicule humans, to judge them as weak and unworthy. Instead, they had witnessed the opposite. Humans were dangerous not because of muscle or armor, but because of the fire in their minds and hearts, a fire that burned steadily through centuries, wars, and catastrophes. Krelva finally spoke, his voice quieter than before, almost reverent. "Perhaps we misjudged your species. Perhaps predators are not the only ones who can claim power." Derek simply nodded. He did not seek approval. The galaxy would come to understand humans in time. Their victories were small, their wars often overlooked, but each one built a story that would echo across the stars. Humans were not invincible, but they were unpredictable, resilient, and relentless, and that was enough. As the sun rose over Jakor Prime, casting pale light on the repaired station, Derek Holt looked out at the stars. He knew that more challenges awaited. There would always be pirates, conquerors, and predators who assumed humans were weak, and there would always be those who underestimated them. But humans had learned a truth that the galaxy had not yet understood. Survival was not about being the strongest. It was about being unyielding, clever, and willing to rise when all others fell. The old human's eyes shone with quiet determination. "We may be fragile," he said softly, "but we are also the ones who survive. And when we survive, we thrive." The aliens who had once laughed at him now regarded him with respect. They had witnessed firsthand the power of human endurance, strategy, and courage. And though Derek Holt was only one man, he had reminded the galaxy that humans were not prey. They were unpredictable, dangerous, and capable of turning the impossible into victory. And somewhere deep in the stars, the legend of the old human who had outwitted predators, defeated pirates, and shown the galaxy the true strength of his species began to grow. It would spread from planet to planet, from star system to star system, until every corner of the Union knew the truth. Humans survive. Humans endure, and humans, when they must, fight back in ways no one expects. The galaxy had lag,